What's up, guys? Jake Berlin here. Get ready because Avengers Infinity War is now just a few weeks away. The monster Marvel movie is now on the horizon, and we are so excited here at Apocalypse Movies in anticipation for the big, giant blockbuster of every Marvel character ever. We have decided to put an entire list of MCU movies ranked by a certain number together. Now, the way it works is we have put together our personal lists. We have brought them together by a point system. The point system works as follows. The first movie on our list gets 18 points because there are 18 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The 18th movie gets 1 point. Everything in between kind of counteracts itself. We add that together. Highest points are at the top, low points at the bottom. This is not us saying that one movie is horrible and one movie is better than the most. This is what we got together with all of our lists combined. We wanted to do separate videos for you, kind of breaking them down, reacting, and kind of revisiting all of these movies because we have been through a monster journey of 10 years of Marvel movies. Now we're going to try and release 6 a week leading up, and that week of Infinity War we're going to release a number of different videos for the movie. We are so excited. We hope you enjoy these videos. And again, don't hate us for ranking these videos differently, but enjoy them at the same time. If I'm ever asked the question, what's the one thing I really remember from Avengers Age of Ultron, it is that opening scene. That opening scene is one of the greatest MCU moments that we have in the 10 years of Marvel movies. Now, it is very short. It's only, the first, 15 minutes, if that. And the coolest thing about it is that Joss Whedon once again captured the team in one shot doing their damage. And the cool thing about it too is one of my favorite parts is the tracking shots he does. Now, he follows one character doing their thing, let's say it's Iron Man flying around the castle, shooting bad guys or whatever, right? As he's flying by, then it tracks down to Hulk, crushing some soldiers or whatever. Then it tracks down to Black Widow and Hawkeye on the Jeep, doing their thing, and then Cap on the motorcycle. Then it shoots to Thor, and the way he captures these characters in this opening scene, it's a straight nerd out moment.
The first thing that popped into my mind when I think of Age of Ultron is the opening sequence when they go into battle in the woods. That scene is amazing. No one can take that away from them. That shot, and they showed it in the trailer a million times, where they're all jumping and it's in slow motion, you see them. That is an epic shot. And the thing is, it's the original team from the first movie, and I don't think we're ever gonna see just that team again. So I think that's a moment in the MCU that we need to cherish. A lot of people don't love Age of Ultron, but I will never forget that opening scene. Arguably, and I mean arguably, it's not for sure, the best opening to an MCU film. I would put it up there for sure.
How could you be worthy? You're all killers.
Stark.
Jarvis.
I'm sorry, I was asleep. Or I was a dream.
Reboot. Legionnaire. Yes, got a buggy suit.
Terrible noise. And I was tangled in strings.
I remember when that first Age of Ultron trailer came out, and the most amazing thing in that trailer is James Spader's voice. That voice is incredible as Ultron. One of the reasons I was so excited for it, I just learned a lot about Ultron going into that movie, and my hype was through the roof for that film regarding that character. And I do really like the performance of James Spader. Ultron ended up being hit and miss for me. I do like a lot of him as a character, but you can't deny that voice is killer, and he does a great job bringing that character to life.
As far as Ultron being the villain, I remember when we got our first announcement at Comic-Con that he was going to be the villain, and I lost my mind. And it was something that I was like, holy cow, we're actually stepping up to Ultron that fast. They're not holding anything back, and that kind of really gave me that first whoa, they're not messing around.
Wait a second, no one else is going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language?
I know. Just slipped out.
So this movie, right off the bat, you see the banter between the Avengers, and I kind of compare it to, we talked about Guardians 2 a little ways down the list, and in a way, the way Guardians 1 and 2 go from being really good comedically to overly comedic. I thought Avengers Age of Ultron did something very similar. Not as bad at all, but I do think there was a little bit of that forced comedy. I think Joss Whedon was able to add his comedic element in the first one, and it worked very well, it blended well. And then in this movie, it was like the reins were taken off and he was allowed to just put whatever humor he wanted in here. And a lot of it does work, and it does make me laugh, but some of it was just a little too over the top. And especially, I thought some of the comedic moments with Ultron took away from how menacing the character could have been. And he is menacing in some parts, but some of those comedic lines just are like, what? Did the character really do that or say that? And it took away from the movie overall.
As far as the Hulkbuster Hulk scene, I think it lived up to the hype. I would have liked to see a little bit less in the trailers, so it would have surprised me a little bit more. I think that's one of Marvel's biggest flaws, is that they put some of the best stuff in their trailers, and for me, I would have loved to not know that that was coming, because I would have lost my mind during the movie.
In this movie, they introduced us to two new characters, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and I actually ended up liking them as characters. They weren't the strongest part of the film, but by the end of the movie, I saw like a little chemistry between them, and at that end battle when they're actually on the Avengers side and they're making jokes with each other like, you know, I was born first, I was like, oh, I actually like these characters. And then Quicksilver dies, so I mean, not that it's funny, but it was weird when I started to like the characters, you eliminated one of them, which actually ended up adding to the character of Scarlet Witch, who I think is actually stronger than a lot of people give her credit for as a character and performance-wise, by Elizabeth Olsen. So I do think overall they were a positive influence on the MCU. It did give us, even though we weren't attached to that character, it was a legit death, a definitive death, and I don't think Quicksilver's ever coming back. So overall, I do like them in this movie.
One of the best parts of this movie, even though it may have been jam-packed with stuff, was the introduction of Vision. The way that Joss Whedon kind of intertwined Jarvis into Vision with the Infinity Stone, who was created by Ultron, was so well done. Like, there were so many pieces to this. Like I just mentioned, right? Jarvis, who is Tony's greatest assistant of all time, one of the greatest characters in the MCU, right? He's turned into Vision, this humanoid who is pretty much the perfect being. Then you get Vision, who is played by Paul Bettany, great actor, who has an Infinity Stone in his head, which is going to play a gigantic role in Infinity War and down the line. Is he going to make it out? We don't know. On top of that, he is created by Ultron, not an Avenger. He's created by Ultron to destroy the Avengers, basically. And then he turns good, obviously, at the end we see is how powerful he is and whatnot. But the way they intertwined his origin into making this perfect little fold and him becoming this great being by Jarvis to Vision and an eventual Avenger, it's so fantastic.
One of my disappointments for this movie was definitely Quicksilver. He was just so underused. I would have loved to see him at least in one other movie. Give just a little bit more, like, even if they had plans to kill him off, give him just a little bit of time. Aaron Taylor Johnson was perfect for that role. He was hilarious with the accent. Another thing that drove me nuts was the fact that they didn't advertise him at all, which already made us suspicious going into the movie. Why is Quicksilver not being advertised but Scarlet Witch is? So it kind of already gave us that, oh, I think that he's going to be knocked off in this movie.
Am I surprised to see Age of Ultron ranked 11th on our list? I can kind of go both ways on this, because for me personally, I didn't love the movie when I first saw it. It took me a few viewings to kind of get used to it, to accept what it was doing, and now I really enjoy it. Like, I can sit down and watch it and really enjoy what is going on and the direction that Joss Whedon has taken with it. But I can also see why people don't like it as much, because it is far different. It is jam-packed with stuff. It doesn't fluidly do stuff as best as the first Avengers does.
I think number 11 on our list of MCU films for Age of Ultron is about right. I might like it a little bit more than some of the movies we have on this list. I actually really like Age of Ultron. Whenever I'm looking through my movies, I tend to glance at it a lot and say, should I throw Age of Ultron on? I like it a lot, but I do think it is, if you were to compare all the films, it's not one of the strongest, but none of these movies are terrible, so to be in the middle pack is kind of an honor in itself.